Jujutsu Kaisen sequel revealed what our GOAT, Yuji Itadori, was up to over the years. People, we now understand how he became a legend, known as the strongest, feared across the sorcery world just like Satoru freaking Gojo. But that's not all. The most broken power we have ever witnessed in the entire manga has been revealed. Maru has a curse technique matching Gojo's Limitless, Sukuna's Shrine, and even Takaba's Comedian. Because guess what? Just like them, Maru can break reality and physics. So let's break everything that went down. The battle between Takeda and Tsurugi continues, but it's interrupted when the debris and ground literally starts shaking and floats in the sky. Maru awakens his third eye. Even unconscious, it can manipulate his body to keep moving forward. And as soon as it picks his target, an overwhelming amount of aura makes the old man, he shits bricks. Maru immediately disables his Shikigami by piercing the enemy's hand by manipulating it, and then he throws a huge boulder. But despite the old man having the correct trajectory to counter it, all of a sudden it changes and smashes him right in the face. This is followed up with the kick to the dome. Although it misses, the physical strength behind it is so powerful that it destroys the floor beneath, which kinda reminds me of Yuji's unrivaled physicality when he destroyed a freaking building just by jumping off it when he was facing Sukuna. Both feats of strength have a similar reaction, as Tsurugi cannot believe Maru was built different and this strong. But we're only just getting started, people. His curse technique is only gonna get more powerful. Takeda realizes he should have killed Maru instead of only knocking him out. He realized he fucked up. And whilst Maru's fight rages on, his alien brother Cross finally arrives to observe from above, and instantly he's kinda disappointed. To him, watching Maru lose control over something as insignificant as saving a child or protecting his new human friends is pretty pathetic. Cross literally mocks him, calling him a trash older brother. But beneath that disgust, Cross is actually intrigued. He sees the bigger picture, because once humanity witnesses Maru's curse technique, the ability to bend reality itself, they'll of course panic. The sorcerer world will immediately start plotting a countermeasure, just like how they once feared Sukuna's Shrine or Gojo's Limitless. And that paranoia is exactly what Cross wants. It gives the aliens a perfect reason to declare an all-out war on Earth, using Maru's existence as the spark to justify their invasion. But Cross isn't worried about how the fight will end, because for the first time in the sequel, he name drops their king, and it's Dabura. This dude, every goddamn panel he's aura farming looking like a demon. But then we witness peak fiction, people. The choreography, the art, it was fire. The old sorcerer in the battle, he tries to make sense of Maru's curse technique. At first, he assumes it's just anti-gravity, but within seconds, he realizes that this power isn't bound by any human logic of Jujutsu. It surpasses everything ever recorded in the history of sorcery. The clock hands start spinning backwards and all over the place. Metal bends, the gym equipment freaks out, weights levitate, the walls twist, and the very air begins to shimmer. Even the curse energy in the atmosphere starts to lose its rules, because all of it is being rewritten by Maru's existence. And in that moment, a familiar voice cuts through the chaos. Guess who it is, people? It's Yuji Itadori. The man, the myth, the legend returns. The old man freezes as the pressure of killing intent is too similar. He felt this before, back when he fought Yuji Itadori. The memory slams into him like a freaking black flash, because Yuji was the first person who ever made him feel fear in a fight. Back in those days, after the fall of Sukuna, Magi revealed in chapter 270 that Yuji and Hana were tasked with hunting down the reincarnated sorcerers, separating them from their vessels. That means this old man was one of them, a survivor and player of the culling game. We know this is Yuji because he wore the same jacket and has the same scars we later see in the Ozawa epilogue in chapter 271.5. But in the past, this cursed user, he was one of the few who escaped Yuji's left-right good night, using his curse technique to change his appearance, erasing his identity to survive. All of this finally explains why Yuji Itadori became a legend 67 years later to Sugiri's generation. Essentially, he became feared by every cursed user and reincarnated sorcerer. This was even confirmed back in chapter 1 of the sequel, when he was remembered as the symbol of balance in a post-Sukuna world. Now, as a special grade sorcerer, Yuji basically hunted down every single person that Kenjaku's evolution plan had unleashed on humanity. Kenjaku himself confirmed that the culling game had over 1,000 players at least. Each one was a sorcerer born from his experiments as he wanted to cause evolution, right? And even after Sukuna's death, we only saw a few hundreds of these people die, so a lot of them are still roaming free. That means Yuji must have spent years cleansing them all, like the hundreds of American soldiers who had been pulled into this chaos, and much more. Anyway, the fight continues with Maru dodging all the curse users' attacks, even catching his needle in between fingers just to kick him. Then when he throws the balls, the old man counters by destroying them all. But this was just a distraction for Maru to speed blitz him to get behind. He bashes his head in, and it's not just those regular ones, like you need to cue the Jojo music right now, because this is the biggest ora 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 I have ever seen in Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, this is even a worse beating than what Sukuna did to others with 4 hands. My man Maru is beating him so bad he's got 8 showing up. This leads to him flying into the swimming pool, but as the old man drowns there, the temperature starts boiling instantly, with it burning his skin. He can't take it and is baited to jump out, where Maru then changes the property of the water by making it ice, holding him in place. The curse user then realizes he's cooked. Maru's technique completely destroys all logic, and he's about to die with his final punch. But Sugiri comes to save the day. Now, even though he has a full heavenly restriction with a gifted body beyond normal humans, and trained from Maki, even that is not good enough. Sugiri can barely hold on and goes flying into the ground. He begs Maru that it's enough, but nothing is getting through since he's unconscious. Cross then praises his bro that he moves well despite the injuries he received when caught off guard. However, he's actually pleased with how things are going, because no matter how this plays out, whether Sugiri chooses to protect Maru or tries to kill him, it all feeds directly into their plan. Any clash between sorcerers and aliens will ignite the war they've been waiting for. After all, the Jujutsu headquarters isn't united. The world's governments are fractured, full of extremists who see aliens not as allies but as weapons. The USA for instance, you know what I'm saying? Like, look back in chapter 3, the United States literally lied to Japan, not informing them that the aliens could even speak English, and even told them to ask the Sumerians for the advanced technology for them to use. But in reality, the Sumerians could communicate perfectly. It was just a political ploy to control negotiations, treating Maru's species like assets rather than living beings. And it's not the first time we've seen this kind of corruption in Jujutsu Kaisen, because just like in Gojo's era, even back then, extremists also existed. The Time Vessel Association is from back in the Nara period, when Master Tengen first began spreading Japanese Buddhism. Tengen's teachings became the foundation of modern Jujutsu, but religion and sorcery never truly agree. And out of this clash, the Time Vessel Association cult was born, and they worshipped Tengen as a god. So instead of stopping Tengen's evolution with a star plasma vessel, they wanted her to evolve evolve freely to ascend beyond humanity and become a true divine being. So to them, Riko's death was an act of fate. So that means even 67 years later, extremists with certain corrupt ideals, they will always exist in humans, aliens, or whatever species they may be, because they want a certain outcome to occur according to Cross. So if Maru ends up killing Tsurugi, the humans would have to react to this act of war. Like, think about it. In the lenses, it looks good. The old geezer evil curse user, him dying here, doesn't have much weight if he's killed. No one cares about him. He isn't from a famous clan, he isn't well known and isn't important. But Tsurugi, the boy part of the Gojo and Zenin clan, dying to an alien within a week of trying to coexist, that just spells trouble. So Cross orders his bro to end his misery. But things take a drastic change. Remember the events from chapter 3? Like, I know a lot of people suffer from the reading comprehension curse, but Gege, he's low-key cooking with this sequel. So hit the notification bell and like the video before it's too late. Essentially, remember the adult tiger? It wasn't evil. It was just a victim of circumstance. His home was destroyed, his river dried up, and he had no choice but to attack humans for survival. And that right there mirrors Sukuna's tragedy. Both of them became monsters because of the world around them. Their violence wasn't born from malice, but from a broken system that glorified strength and abandoned empathy. Osada saw this, and he believed the tiger deserved to live, that even a so-called monster is capable of being understood, just like Yuji believes Sukuna could change. But Tsurugi at that point of time rejected it, arguing that mercy means nothing if it costs innocent lives. This clash between Osada and Tsurugi is the same debate that defined Yuji and Megami back in chapter 6, when Yuji wanted to save the dude and Megami said, nah bruh, leave him behind, who cares, he's not part of the mission. But when the tiger dies and its children, its cub survives, it's like the story answering the question for us. Strength must be guided by empathy, or power will always end up in tragedy, because absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that's what Maru the alien realizes, because watching this unfold, he sees the tiger's death as a metaphor for his own people, the Sumerians. Without understanding and moral connection, coexistence between humans and aliens is doomed. So the cub in the sequel represents Yuji's ideology living on, that even a cursed world can still give birth to hope if someone chooses to nurture it. That's why Tsurugi has a character growth in chapter 6, as he is literally showing mercy and gives into Maru's ideals, as he saw Maru nurture this supposed innocent boy in chapter 4 that also lost his parents and home. Maru is the one who tells him that they can become neighbors, people who truly understand why we hold certain things dear to our hearts and who look out for each other instead. Because deep down, Maru relates to humans through their shared pain of losing everything. As a result, Tsurugi decides he does not want Maru to be the catalyst of war between their races, because he knows his true heart. He puts all his effort into waking him up, but the third eye in Maru is too powerful. Like, its aura alone pushes him back. He can't even get close to him. Like, imagine the sheer force behind it, because a heavenly restriction user has damn veins popping out and is using effort but can't do anything. Like, I get he's not on Maki's level yet, but it looks like anyone that isn't special grade is a joke to Maru when he gets serious. I mean, his curse technique is inertia manipulation. Now, in physics, inertia is an object's resistance to any change in motion. It's what keeps a basketball flying once it's thrown, or a person rooted to the floor when standing still. Maru's ability lets him override that rule completely. He can cut inertia to zero, making water freeze mid-air like he did in this chapter. He can even make metal weights drift like they're in space, and even gravity lose its pull. But on the other hand, he can also amplify inertia, forcing motion to continue continue endlessly or changing an object's trajectory without applying force, like curving bullets or the rock, or even redirecting punches like he did in this very chapter. He's basically rewriting the equations of motion themselves. Every atom and every molecule becomes detached from Newton's first law. So it's a power that erases the rules that make reality stable, making him pretty easily, in my eyes, a special grade. So knowing he can't beat Maru in this state, Tsurugi makes one last plea that they were supposed to be neighbors. This sparks something in Cross. He sees Tsurugi stand his ground, ready to face death with his ideals close to his heart, hoping for a brighter tomorrow. And as a result, he swoops in and tells Maru to calm down, switching him off. Cross then ponders, what am I? Why did I even do that? And this leads to a well-known analysis we as a community came to. One of these bros could be representing Sukuna and his reincarnation. At the end of chapter 271.5, we all know Sukuna went north before dying, and in Jujutsu Kaisen, that direction means rebirth. Yuji's final words then come into play when he said, let's try one more time, not by cursing someone, but living alongside them. And in the afterlife, Sukuna understood that love and companionship actually had meaning and wasn't worthless. So his soul most likely entered the cycle of samsara. Like, let's not get it twisted, reincarnation is canon in Jujutsu Kaisen since Sukuna's twin did it, Jogo confirmed it, and much more. So 68 years later, one of these twins, they could literally be Sukuna's reincarnated soul, and that means Yuji's lesson has finally carried over. Sukuna is getting a second chance to actually do the right thing instead of being a dick. And you know what the craziest part is? The Sumerian twins mirror the legend of Gilgamesh and Enkidu, two halves of one soul who defy the gods themselves. And in this case, that would be Dabura. So this could be Gege showing us that things changed. It's the king of curses being represented by Cross or Maru to finish the lesson Yuji started. Now, if you're interested in this theory and want to learn more about it, definitely watch this video on your screen right now as I give every inch of detail you need to know.